I'm Rob Skinner, and this is the Rob Skinner Podcast. Today I'm going to talk to Nathan Triepke from Flagstaff, Arizona. Nathan is a mobile missionary. He's a young man who decided to work remotely and help plant a church. You're going to find out today what got him interested in Flagstaff, what's happened since he got there, what's it like working a full-time job and doing missionary work, what gets him up in the morning, and what's been his biggest spiritual victory and defeat. All this and more on the Rob Skinner Podcast. Welcome back to the Rob Skinner Podcast. My goal is to inspire you to live a no-regrets life, make this life count, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. I'm fired up because I've got on my program Nathan Triepke. Nathan is originally from California. He spent time in Boston, and now he's on the mission team to Flagstaff, Arizona. And he's part of a new breed of young people who are working remotely and doing missionary work. And so he's got a full-time job, plus he's working for the Lord in his off time in order to build the church. And I look forward to talking to him in a few seconds. But before that, I want to invite you to the 2021 Climb Small Church Leadership Conference. If you're leading in a small church, a small ministry, small group, if you aspire to, if you want to do missionary work, you don't want to miss this event. You're going to hear inspirational speaking from Mufid and Jesse Tomei, who come from Beirut, Lebanon. Josue Ortega from El Salvador, Todd Assad from Texas, Tim Summerlin, Kyle Spears, Jennifer Konzen, Joel P., Joel Nagel, Kelsey Hahn, David Jung, John Lusk, and more people. It's going to be inspirational. One thing that I love about this program is it's so practical. Sometimes I've gone to conferences and I go, okay, there's a lot of high-level stuff, but I need tools. I need help. So each day is going to have a theme to help you and your ministry grow. Every class is going to give you specific tools to revive your spirit and grow your ministry. For example, on Friday, it'll be totally dedicated to helping you get fired up and restore the joy of your salvation. We're customizing a program to make 2022 your best year ever spiritually. So even if you're down in the dumps coming into this conference, I can almost guarantee you will leave there so fired up and excited going into 2022. Also, the Saturday program is going to help you come up with a complete and thorough plan, a program, and a curriculum for your ministry in 2022. You're going to leave this conference with everything you need, the material, the support, everything to make 2022 your best ministry year so far. And again, I want to repeat, I feel like the biggest impact that COVID's had is just the way it's just hammered away on small church, small ministry leaders around the kingdom. You're going to spend 3 days with disciples who are climbing the same mountain as you. I mean, it's going to be so encouraging. So many like, oh man, that person understands me. They get me. They understand. They get the same challenges. You're going to make tons of friends. You're going to laugh. You're going to learn every single day. So please sign up at robskinner.com. It's going to be December 2nd through 5th. If you haven't heard about it, here you are. You're hearing about it. It's going to be amazing. I want to see you at the Climb Conference. Go to robskinner.com. Look for the Climb Conference tab. I'll see you in Dallas in December. Nathan, welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going?
It is great to have you. Brian Mackey told me that a guy named Nathan was moving out to Flagstaff, and I was so fired up about that. And so it was great to meet you on the kickoff weekend. That was a blast. I mean, just what a great start. Let me go ahead and get started by asking you this. How did you become a Christian?
Yeah. So I grew up a believer, in Southern California, my family going to church, but I really became a Christian when I decided to transfer from going to NAU here in Flagstaff to a school out in Boston, because I had been dating a girl long distance from high school. We both grew up in California together. We were dating long distance, and I wanted to transfer out there. And so during my, the first summer as a freshman, that's when I wanted to transfer out there. I applied to this school in Suffolk in Boston. And during this off semester, this semester where I was basically waiting to get, approved and make it official to move to Boston, that's when my girlfriend at the time, who was in Boston University, got met on campus by the campus ministers at the time, which is Jesse and Alexander Goman, who are great friends of mine now. But basically they met her. And when I had transferred out there, she'd been studying the Bible for months at that point. There was even a time where, we were going to break up because she needed to focus on God. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I got to come to Boston. I got to work on my faith too. And so basically, as soon as I got to Boston in January, I started studying the Bible, and it only took me a month and a half before, locking it up and, becoming a disciple and wanting to go, full throttle. So yeah, it was basically through my girlfriend at the time. So yeah.
Okay. So how old are you now?
I'm 24.
Okay. You still dating that girl?
No, we dated for about a year and a half after, but then we broke up. I think she's doing well, so
okay.
No longer dating though.
Okay. Yeah. What got you interested in going to Flagstaff?
Well, so I had a friend, Mari Sawamura, who forwarded me your podcast where you'd mentioned Flagstaff. You mentioned planning a church up in Flagstaff, and of course, I'd gone to the school here in Flagstaff, Northern Arizona University, and for a year and a half. And so, after being in Boston 4 years and hearing that we're planning a church here in Flagstaff, that's when the first spark happened, through listening to your podcast. And I was like, oh man, I started thinking about all the cool things we do as a church in Flagstaff, going hiking together, going to the lava tubes, and exploring the prairies and meadows, and just thinking about the students on campus as well, the students I lived with, and how much they needed to hear the word. And that's what got me going. Wow. And really thinking about coming back to Flagstaff.
That's so awesome. Yeah. I got to give a shout out to Mari Sawamura. Thank you so much, Mari. I know Mari when she was a kid. Her parents and Pam and me, we were in the same staff in Tokyo, Japan. And so here's a shout out to Michitaka and Hiromi. I hope you guys are doing great in China. But thank you for spreading the word about the podcast. I appreciate that. Now, Nathan, what's happened since you got to Flagstaff? When you get there, and what's happened since then?
Yeah, so it's been 3 weeks since I've been here, and we've been able to have our inaugural kickoff service, which was just massive. I don't even know how many people were there, maybe over 300, maybe you have a number. But
325.
Yeah, 325 people, and there was so many people. The room was glowing. Everyone was having a great time. Service was loud. But there's been a lot every week for maybe a couple of times, 2 or 3 weeks, we meet up and evangelize. And me working, I haven't been able to join that because it's right in the midday, but we've been having Bible talks at the mall. There's been campus devos starting up, and we're really getting into a groove here, with our Sunday services. And I was able to lead the communion today, which is awesome. So that's one way I was able to give to the church. And I think we're getting into a groove, but keeping the missionary mindset.
You've been there for 3 weeks. How's the church gone so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been growing. So far, we had a couple of visitors today, and we've been growing. We just had an engaged couple get baptized. They're Navajo, which is really inspiring. I don't even know what kind of barriers come with being Navajo and laying down your life for God, but they're a engaged couple, still engaged and baptized and ready to go, and they're even hosting some of the people from the church at their house for dinner, which is great. So they're getting involved. And their names are Nick and Janice, and Nick is a Raiders fan, so that's great. Raiders are our family's team. And then Sonia, who's young, she's at the school here at NAU. She's very young, and she just got baptized yesterday, actually.
Wow.
Saturday night in the lake. It was cold. It was dark. We're stepping on rocks, but she wanted to make it special. And, we shouted her out today in service, and she had a massive smile on her face. She's one of those people that doesn't like to show emotion, but she just couldn't resist. So it was great to see her smile and everything. But it's really coming together. We're family, and it feels genuine.
That's
awesome. Genuine relationships.
It must have been a shock coming from one of the kingdom's biggest churches in Boston to a church that, you know, is a fraction of the size. Can you tell me how was that adjustment?
It's still in the process, you know. I think it's great. That's what I was looking for. You know, going from that big church, I knew was going to be small, but that's kind of the reason I chose to come as one more way to grow, to have me grow in my character and even ministry, to know what it's like to be part of a small church. And it's been great. I mean, you're with the same people more frequently, and so I know these relationships are going to grow pretty fast. But you can't be one of those people that just hangs out in the back. You gotta, you know, you introduce yourself, because these are going to be your friends and your partners, you know, in the gospel, and live in this walk. So it's been great. I'm really looking forward to getting to know more of them. There's actually a good amount of young people, so I think that's a surprise.
Okay.
How many young people there are my age, which has been great.
What's it like working your job and then doing missionary work?
Yeah, I mean, so I've had 3 principles that I've tried to follow since being here. It's God over sleep, God over work, and God over fun. And so I'm just trying to remember, you know, to get my time with God before work, and it even prioritize, you know, if I know we're going to go sharing after work hours, I'm going to be there. Like, I got to be there. And even trying to use a little bit of my flexibility as a remote worker to go to some extra events, like getting lunch with a brother or sister real quick, you know, because I can pick up my work later or something like that. So it's been good.
What do you do for work, and what company do you work for?
Yeah, I work for a company called MZ Burning Glass. It's an economic modeling company, and I'm a product analyst, and I basically improve one of our internal data products that we offer. It's basically data classification. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds complicated.
Yeah, it can be simple, but the more you talk about it, it gets really complicated again. So,
what are the app? Can you simplify it? Give you some applications? Like, what does that mean? Like, what?
Yeah.
What is it?
So labor market. We sell software, and we sell data. It's labor market data. So job postings, resumes, social profiles. We all compile it, and I help organize it into our databases and implement it into our products. And so a higher education institution will buy it to improve their programs, you know, look at the skills that are in job postings from like Oracle or Google, and say, hey, we need to improve our software programming program. So that's how they use it. Someone like Microsoft might use it to see who Google is hiring for, so they can stay competitive to Google, and vice versa. Staffing agencies will use it to see what the market's like, to see where they can find talent, what cities are pumping out talent. And even cities and states and governments will use it to improve their economy in their local town.
Wow.
Or even as a nation.
Okay.
So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What gets you up in the morning? What really turns your crank where you just go, yes, I'm fired up?
Well, yeah, I love to sleep, and I even take power naps throughout the day. And that's why one of my 3 pillars is God before sleep. So that's one thing, God, fear God, and wanting to respect him. But also, you know, I think about my morning coffee, and sitting there at my desk with a warm brew. And I recently bought a grinder, and I've been buying whole bean. So that's kind of a new adventure I'm on right now. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fresh ground coffee.
What's been your biggest spiritual victory? Like, you've been a Christian, what, 2 years now, 3 years?
4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
In the past 4 years, what's been your biggest spiritual victory?
honestly, it's incredible just staying a disciple in this world. But I would say it's a victory that I experience pretty often, and that is visiting disciples in other cities and states. I think that is one of the biggest victories of the kingdom, and it may not be that personal to me, but it's I think I'd classify it as a victory. I think it's just blessings to be able to visit another city and see a disciple you used to know or used to live with or live close to, and it's so strengthening for the faith. So I would say that is a huge victory to be a part of that. Even.
What's been your biggest spiritual defeat? What's been your biggest setback?
Yeah, that's tough. I think sometimes I can think that I do not witness Jesus by sharing my testimony. Sometimes I feel that I don't use my testimony and the value of my testimony as something that can be a witness to people, and even my closest friends. And so I don't think it's a defeat, that they definitely see Jesus lived out in me and they know that I've changed, but I guess sometimes I wish it was more. But no, I think we have a great relationship, me and my closest friends, but my friends who aren't believers or disciples. But yeah, that's something growing in and want to use more.
If you could paint a picture of your future life in 10 years, in detail, what would it look like? What would you like to see happen?
Oh man, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know that I will have gone to many places. I'm hoping to have lived in different countries and different states and be a part of different churches within those 10 years. I hope to be married, absolutely married. I'd be 34, so I don't know how many kids I'd have, maybe one or two. 4 would be, the ultimate goal in the long run. Would be sweet. But probably still, I feel like I'd still have a very mobile mindset. Lately, I've just, been inspired that my home is kind of anywhere the word of God is preached, and anywhere you have relationships. And so, I'd hope to, I don't want to know where I'll be in 10 years. Obviously, I'm going to plan for the future, right? But
have you ever thought about going overseas?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Next year, Japan is like a dream of mine, to spend a year in Japan, just experience a new culture. But absolutely want to go overseas.
That's awesome. I think that's a great idea. You came on the mission field with a mission. What's your plan to accomplish in the next year in Flagstaff?
Yeah, great question. So I was talking with Brian Mackey, who leads the church here, and I was just one of my biggest fears is me losing steam for the mission here. And he was like, yeah, man, I think you just need to think about everything you can accomplish while you're here. And so I basically dedicated a time with God to just meditate on all the things that I want to do and inspire. And a lot of it's, growing relationships, know what it's like to be part of a small church, inspire one of my best friends is living here. So really, inspire him and make sure that he sees the way I live. And man, I wish I had that was accessible to me, but yeah, I spent time meditating on that. And I went from being worried that I was just gonna not have a good plan for the year to feeling very content, like, oh wow, I can actually do a lot in a year. I can do a lot for God. And I realized it's not just what happens this year, it's how many skills I'll pick up during this year that I can use for years to come as well. So that excited me.
That's awesome. You're pretty tall. What are you, like 6'6"?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 6'6".
Oh my gosh. I remember when we went sharing, I was like, whoa, this dude is really tall. You don't strike me as a programmer. I mean, I had you pegged as like former beach volleyball champion or something like that. What do you do in your off time when you're not praying, spending time with God, or sharing your faith?
Oh man, I'm a yes man. So like my guys would make fun of me back in Boston that I have too much stuff. And so when the winter it's snowboarding and summer is golf and fishing and it's anything. Like here I want to get into disc golf and I'm almost always with people. You know, I don't love to be alone unless I'm watching Formula One. I don't really want to watch Formula One with anyone else. I just want to sit by myself and watch the race. But those are some things. I like to just do everything.
Okay, who's your favorite Formula One racer?
Carlos Sainz. He's from Spain.
Sainz. Okay.
Yeah,
I like Max Verstappen.
Of course. I mean, Max is you got to root for Max.
I mean, he's pretty awesome. But Daniel Ricciardo also is he's a great character.
Just Ricciardo's on my fantasy team, so seeing him win last week was awesome.
Pretty awesome. That was great. I was wondering had he lost it, had he lost his mojo or something.
Oh man.
It was great to see him win. Before Netflix, this series, I knew nothing about it, but all of a sudden it's been great. I know all the different racers. Okay, I've got to ask you a question. Are you going to the Climb conference in Dallas?
Yeah, so this is my first time hearing about it, but I am free that weekend, and I honestly don't know why I wouldn't go. When I hear about these leadership conferences and, people talk about how you can go there and get so many great ideas for your ministry, I think, oh, wait, I don't lead a ministry. I'm not a full-time staff member, but I was like, well, that doesn't matter. I can still bring back some really great ideas for my ministry, especially being part of a small church. Your opinion and your ideas are heard and usually implemented more, probably frequently. And so I think I don't see a reason why I wouldn't go, especially I have never been to Dallas. I've been to every other major city in Texas except Dallas. So I think it'd be great.
I'll see you there. Let me ask you this question. If someone were thinking about going on a mission team or working remotely, whatever their age may be, what advice would you give them?
Yeah. I think you got to think about what you want to do long-term for God in the kingdom and what it's going to take to get there. And so this domestic church planting is just step one in my eyes. It's just a step one to get training. So you want to think long-term what you want to do for the kingdom and realize that, every act you do for God, you want to step it up. You want to try to challenge yourself and do more. As a disciple, that's what we're called to do more and more and try to equip ourselves. And so just think about what you want to do and when that's going to happen, because the longer you delay it, the longer you delay it. And the kingdom's got to wait on you. And the sooner you get it done, the sooner you'll feel confident in what you're able to do for God. And you'll meet so many new people. And so I would say, think about what you want to do for God in the kingdom and pray a lot about it. And try to really picture yourself in that setting and how, pleased God would be. And that you're doing the will of God.
Amen.
Basically. Yeah.
Nathan, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Absolutely.
I've got to say, I am inspired by your attitude. I just go, I love your attitude. I want 1,000 more Nathans to go out there and just go out and plant churches and go on mission teams. I just go, you've got the heart and spirit of a total missionary. Reminds me of the Apostle Paul, gutsy, fired up, taking risks. And I go, that's awesome. And so that's kind of what gave me the idea of doing this series on mobile missionaries. I thought, my son's doing it, you're doing it, and it inspires me. I go, that's the way to go. And I hope that it inspires other people. Because of COVID, there's been so much more movement across the country, so much more mobility. And this can be an incredible opportunity for God to work to spread his kingdom. So thank you for what you're doing, and I'll see you in Dallas.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rob.
Thank you so much for joining the Rob Skinner podcast. If you're enjoying this podcast, please hit the subscribe button and let your friends know about it and how to find it. Because my goal is to inspire you to make this life count, live a no regrets life, and multiply disciples, leaders, and churches. Have a great day and make this life count.